We'll never say we're truly independent in this country. Never until the ordinary person life has improved and that ordinary person says, I can see a difference. So the measure of progress in democracy is not the lofty statements our leaders give. The measure of democracy is economic justice. So until we hear our people say we are okay, we are not okay.
He is a legal expert in public law and constitutionalism. And today we will be looking at a broad view of where Africa is where we are going. So Professor Judge Key Oagile, I prefer the Oagile. Oagile, you guys are okay?
Not Key.
I get the key people in the country were your students. Here we're talking about President Duma, the leader of opposition, and also the current Chief Justice. I mean, how does it feel to be in that space?
It's amazing. I think I hold a world record. We have, relative to others in Africa, been labeled a shining example of democracy because we obeyed court orders generally. Our journalists were free to express themselves. But that story belongs to the early days. With time, things deteriorated because the ruling elite then discovered that the Constitution is a document of convenience. They also discovered that the people do not know and understand the Constitution. So the ruling elites now turned the state into an instrument of oppression instead of an instrument of liberation. We'll never be truly independent until our people are free from hunger, deprivation, until we achieve a situation where we say that belongs to the past. We cannot say we have reached the zenith of our aspirations.
Welcome to the GrowthWell Podcast, where we tap into a well of knowledge, innovation, and leadership to fuel Africa's growth. Here, we explore thought-provoking insights and expert knowledge that empower individuals and businesses to thrive across the continent. Whether it's personal development or professional advancement, our conversations inspire action and impact. This is GrowthWell, where ideas flow and growth begins. Let's dive in.
Is Africa really independent? Do we have the right to fill up people in stadiums that we also call independent stadiums? I needed to think hard of the right person to bring. And I think we brought the right person. You know, one thing about Africa is that we are blessed with some of the really deep intellectual people that are very well read. And my brother that I'll be interviewing in a bit, you know, he's much older than me, but he was senior at the University of Botswana in the law department. Interestingly, he taught even our current president, Redu Maboko. He taught even our current leader of opposition, Redu Sando, including our current Chief Justice. So this is somebody who's currently based in Papua New Guinea, in the bench there, well-traveled, and I'll talk more about his credentials shortly. But I encourage you to really listen as you reflect on the route that Africa should take around the democratic route. He's gone on record many times, even as a judge, as a professor, to say that Africa is in democratic recession. This is an abridged profile of Judge Dingake. Currently, he's a judge of the Supreme and National Courts of Papua New Guinea. He's the first African to be appointed Justice of the Supreme and National Courts of Papua New Guinea. He's also a judge of the Residual Special Court of Sierra Leone, appointed by the Secretary General of the United Nations in 2013. He has previously served also as the Justice of the Apex Court in Seychelles. Judge Dingake is a former judge of the High Court Industrial Court of Botswana. He also taught law at the University of Botswana. He's an extraordinary law lecturer at the Law at the University of Pretoria. He has been visiting scholar at the University of Cape Town and also the Institute of Development Labor Law in Rome, Italy. In January 2019, he became the first African to become a William L. Beatty jurist in residence at the Southern Illinois University in the United States of America. He has delivered scholarly papers on HIV and the law and sexual reproductive health rights and the law at the various universities around the globe, including recently at the University of Southern California in Los Angeles. Judge Dingake was instructed as part of the advisory committee set by the UNAIDS in the publication of a book entitled Judging the Epidemic, a judicial handbook on HIV, human rights, and law. 2013 it was. Judge Dingake has a PhD in law from the University of Cape Town, an LLM from the University of London, UK, and LLB from the University of Botswana. He has a number of postgraduate certificates in international development studies and the political economy of development from the University of Oslo and the London School of Economics. Judge Dingake has been recognized as an exceptional and distinguished scholar by a number of universities around the globe, including the University of Cape Town and James Cook University in Australia. In 2013, Women's Link Worldwide awarded him a Bronze Gravel Award promoting gender justice. He's an honorary professor of public law at the University of Cape Town, an adjunct professor of law at James Cook University in Australia. He is a lead facilitator at the Judicial Institute for Africa, based in Cape Town. Judge Dingake is also a professor of law at St. Beda University in the Philippines and the University of Lay Adventist of Kigali in Rwanda. In Philippines, Justice Dingake teaches postgraduate law students 3 modules: constitutions, constitutionalism, and the rule of law. You can see he is really the right man for this topic. Judge Dingake is the author of several books, including Judges, Lawyers in Pursuit of Justice, all available on Amazon. He's currently the president of the African Regional Judges Forum on HIV and TB, human rights and the law, and co-chairman of the African think tank on HIV, health and social justice. Judge Dingake is also a chancellor of a local university in Botswana called ABM College here in Gaborone. So there we have a gentleman whom I think you'll agree with me, he is the right man to discuss the decline of democracy, the need for social justice, the need to combat inequality in our continent, and that when we have more and more of people like this, we think there could be hope. And watch it, because in the podcast, he does talk about hope, hope, hope. Enjoy.
So, Professor Judge Key Oagile, I prefer the Oagile.
Not Key.
You guys are okay.
Not Key.
Welcome to GrowthWell, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's beautiful to be home. Beautiful to be here. I see you have made a name for yourself and for ourselves as a country. So congratulations.
No, thank you so much.
I'm happy to be here.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
It's such a pleasure.
Yes.
My elder brother from the old days.
Yes. Yes.
So, Dingake, I like starting on a light note. And you've been a scholar, you've taught at the university, and we were just jokingly chatting about how some of the key people in the country were your students.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Here we're talking about President Duma,
yes,
the leader of opposition,
yes,
and also the current Chief Justice. I mean, how does it feel to be in that space?
It's amazing. I think I hold a world record. You see, you have to tell me who has done that.
Yeah.
So it's true. Yes, I taught DGB. We still refer to each other when we chat, and we chat quite often. I refer to him as Gideon, my man.
Mm-hmm.
And that Gideon, my man, arises out of, if you recollect, when I was appointed to the bench in my late 30s to the industrial court, he wrote an open letter published in Michi entitled Key, my man.
Mm-hmm.
And after he ascended to the presidency of the Republic, I returned the favor.
Mm-hmm.
So when the nation complies with his request that he be called my boy,
Mm-hmm.
I just say, Gideon, my man.
Ah.
So, yes, he has been a student in my class, Constitutional Law and Human Rights, and a good student, an A-grade student. Very, very eloquent. And so has been Dumela Nsalchando,
the leader of
the
opposition.
official leader of the opposition, also an A-class student.
Really?
Yes, in constitutional law, and also very eloquent. And the Chief Justice. Now, the Chief Justice, I didn't teach law, if I recall. The Chief Justice has an interesting background, very rich. For the kind of person who came from that background, he went to a school called Capital Continuation Classes.
Capital Continuation Classes?
Yes.
What the hell is that?
No one knows about it, but it was a small few classrooms in Bonteng.
Okay.
It was a night school.
Triple C.
Triple C.
Now I remember.
Yes.
Was that what it stood for?
Yeah, at Triple C,
Hey.
I taught the Chief Justice history.
Okay.
And at that time, I was working for Bank of Botswana. And he was a first-class student of history. So that is my contribution to the Republic. If anyone holds this record, let me know.
Come talk to you. It's just sheer coincidence. It's just amazing coincidence.
And with DGB, there is more to be said. His first trip outside Botswana was to North Korea.
Okay. After graduation, or this is during when you're doing
These were the struggle days. So no one knew about his trip except myself and a few others. We had sent him out on a revolutionary mission.
Really?
Yes.
Which
he went to Pyongyang.
And he took it, I'm sure, with gusto.
Yes, he did.
Knowing him.
Yes.
He went to Pyongyang?
Yes.
Okay.
So that is the groundwork that has been done.
Yeah.
And now it is totally amazing that the other is the president, the other is the shadow president in constitutional terms, and the other, the head of the custodianship of the Constitution in the judiciary. What more does this nation expect me to do?
When you're mentioning the underground going to Pyongyang, I mean, you are reminding me because obviously I was at UB, late 80s, early 90s. And you reminded me of the fiery and energetic and left-wing politics of the Dingakes and the Bayfords and where's the Mupos and all that. I mean, can you just say a word about that? I don't know if UB is still the same, but I mean, there was such an energy and firepower that came out of that university.
Yes. I was saying to a friend yesterday actually, a member of parliament, that my intellectual grounding and orientation in left politics started at high school, in Lotsane Senior Secondary School. At that time, the BNF had a well-structured curriculum that students were being recruited into to undergo.
At secondary school level?
Yes, there were two curriculums. There was the mass curriculum, and there was another stream for those who belonged to an organization called Botswana Student Council. That one, the membership was only open to students by invitation. The mass, anyone could be recruited into the mass.
Mass movement,
And in the mass curriculum, we taught about the history of the liberation movements of the ANC, of Relimo, of MPLA, of SWAPO, their orientation, and current affairs issues. In the second stream, Botswana Student Council, the curriculum was deeply theoretical and was Marxist So he had to be inducted into the Communist Manifesto, the 1848 blueprint by Karl Marx and Engels, that spoke that the history of all societies has been the history of class struggle. And that defined everything in terms of class. So as early as my secondary school days in Lausanne,
It's early 80s, right?
yes,
Yeah.
my tutor on political philosophy, political economy, was none other than Otsweletse Mupo,
Really?
who later became my law partner.
Yes, yes.
He would go to Lausanne and organize study groups.
Wow.
When I finished in Lausanne and joined the university, I continued, and I was invited soon after arrival to join the Botswana Student Council. I am therefore, in the early days, in terms of orientation, intellectually, oriented around the classics
Yeah.
of left-wing
politics.
I still battle to understand issues outside class configuration and class analysis. I still believe that the owners of the means of production and there is the working class. And I still believe there is inequity, that the owners of the means of production are not paying labor that which is proportionate to the time they put.
Yeah.
I still believe that going forward, there is room for the kind of collaboration that is not founded on unfairness and injustice. So that speaks to my early orientation. The wretched of the Fanon's wretched of the earth spoke to these issues. That
Who wrote that? Was it
Frantz Fanon.
Fanon? Yes,
Yes,
Frantz Fanon.
yes.
Yes, Frantz Fanon. Yes.
So his postulation was exactly about the post-independence euphoria that was followed by betrayal. So the spring of independence was followed by the winter of discontent when the new elites that assumed power started mimicking the old departed masters and accumulating wealth at a neck-breaking speed. And the people that were meant to liberate lived in conditions of squalor and deprivation. That, if you understand, is the philosophy that informed the works of that formidable intellectual scholar this country has ever known by the name of Kenneth Koma.
Yes, I was wondering why you're taking long to mention Kenneth Koma.
When Kenneth Koma wrote the seminal critique of the political economy of Botswana, he was borrowing heavily from that classic, the Communist Manifesto. Das Kapital, Marx critique of the political economy. Amilcar Cabral revolution in Guinea-Bissau. And Kenneth was basically saying that the independence that came was a flag independence because that independence was not manifested in the manner in which our people lived. They still lived in squalor. The new leaders we came, the political elite that came and took over power, they used state power and the state as a tool of accumulation, not as a tool of liberation. I am a product, therefore, of that early orientation, left-leaning orientation, but I'm also a son of Bobonong. I'm born of peasant parents. My consciousness was forged in my circumstances. You combine the two, it tells you who Key is. If you want to link that to my jurisprudence, you can. You can. I'm not the one to speak about it.
Let's not do that yet.
Yes.
Because I wanted to follow up with first in reference to Kenneth Koma's pamphlet number 1. Was that also part of that emerging revolution and capturing of the theory of the struggle? What did you say about the pamphlet number 1?
It was the Bible.
It was the Bible.
It was the Bible. It was the most devastating and forensic critique of the political economy of Botswana, characterized by inequality and opulence in the midst of squalor. And Kenneth wrote that the working class, together with the peasantry, if they are conscientized properly, can contribute to a better reconfiguration of a better Botswana. And his analysis of a better Botswana was a Botswana in which all of us, the people, live better, have access to clean water, access to water, food, shelter, and they're employed. And they lead a life of dignity. So pamphlet number 1 was the baseline. It was the Bible. But as I told you, this was sourced from this seminal
seminal works by Carl and all. Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
He borrowed, Amilcar Cabral spoke about people like you and me who are privileged. I nearly articulated your privilege, but I'll stop there. Who are privileged, who generally relatively live well. Amilcar Cabral said it is possible for this class, the class of which you and me belong, to commit class suicide and lead fundamental changes that can empower the ordinary person. Kenneth also believed that the intelligentsia, the university professors, the teachers, and all other people who have degrees and are living well, they can subscribe to a deep-seated transformative course. I come from that background.
Yeah. How did talking to lawyers of your time and the lecturers at university, because it was quite dynamic as well, because you had the left-leaning students, and then you also had the right-leaning, I forgot what it's called, the BDP faction of the UB, G26, was it G26? I don't know if I'm correct, the late Molodis and all those type of guys. And that provided a very vibrant sort of debate ecosystem within the debate. Some of us were engineers busy doing DYDX, but we used to just enjoy going to the hall and the combat. But did the university play a specific part in terms of the lecturers and the freedom of expression and this contestation of ideas that led you guys to almost blossom?
If I were to answer you, the primary motive force for our intellectual confidence, our ability to dissect societal problems, was what we learned in the study groups. What we learned in the study groups gave us...
This is on the edges of the curriculum of the university. This is just on your...
We're so passionate about it. We even read more of it than the formal law curriculum. It gave us the we're looking forward to class to confront our lecturers and to tell them that their thesis on the law is not on the side of the people. So TK, Takarambude, they shaped our growth in Sereko and many others.
Yes.
Atalia Molokume, and all those. but we would almost come to class with a yearning to confront them and to challenge them. I remember one example, and Sarako is still so close to me.
Mm-hmm.
He actually has written a book. You remember, he served in an international court in The Hague.
Yeah. Mm.
He has written a book, and he called me one night when I was in PNG to say, you must read this book because I've said a lot about you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And one of the contestations, which I remember I can share with your audience, is that we're then talking about law and freedom. And then I said, I'm sorry, Prof. You seem to worship the law too much when the law can be a tool of oppression.
Mm.
He said, what do you mean? He contested that. And then anyway, that debate ended in a discussion about Mandela as a lawyer and being struck off the role of practicing a lawyer because he believes in violence and ANC violence and was condemning violence. And I said to him that the tool of violence that the ANC embraced became a necessary liberation tool because that was the only language the regime could understand. We had such a long debate, and he condemned the ANC for the violence. And I said to him, he would laugh when he listened to this. I said, Prof, if you take that line, I'll not continue to be in class. Yes.
You did?
Yes, I said. And he continued. I took my books and I walked out.
Wow.
When Nyerere visited the University of Botswana, Julius Nyerere, our only excitement was not that we're going to meet Nyerere. Our excitement was that we're going to confront Nyerere about Ujamaa.
Yeah, the Ujamaa
and
principles.
African socialism.
Yeah.
And we're going to debunk this theory of African socialism because there is nothing like African socialism. You can only speak of scientific socialism. So you see what grounded us, the confidence it gave us. That was the thing.
Wow. And then I cannot listen to you without thinking about the impact on you personally of your elder brother, Michael Dingake, who was a stalwart of ANC, served in Robben Island for a while, and may his soul rest in peace a few years ago.
Yes.
Was there any impact? I know from my readings, he was a bit of a performer during his early days, and you sort of looked up to him.
MK was everything to me. He was my father, my brother, my mentor, my friend, in the literal sense. When I grew up in my native village of Bobonong, MK was a celebrated figure, almost mythical.
Really?
My parents told stories about him, a large part distorted, about who he was, his genre of politics, his amazing defiance. And my dad used to say, there's something wrong with education. I educated him to sustain himself and his family, but it seems this education landed him in South Africa. He embraced other people's causes. He landed in prison. He said, I hope his younger brother does not follow. For the big part of my early days, he was just a fictional figure. I had not met him.
Because he's a lot older than you, isn't it? Yeah.
But I knew about him. In the village in Cholondawad, where I grew in Bobonong, he was this iconic figure. And that rubbed off. Somehow, whenever you identified yourself and they say, Manawi Kitso, the brother to Kitso. And Dad used to say, whisper to his age mates, that my worst fear is that he's going to be like his brother. It was not until Standard 7 that I received a Christmas card with a stamp. No, Form 1 actually, with a stamp from Robben Island. That was the first indication that my fictional brother was actually not fictional.
You hadn't met him up to then?
No.
Still?
Form 1, after receiving that card, I missed classes. My parents then were in a place called Mosalakwani, about 10 kilometers from Bobonong. I ran to Mosalakwani to present the good news that your son is alive. And Dad thought I was kidding.
Because your dad seriously thought he was not alive.
My parents cried. But my old man was very strict on education. I had just done 10 kilometers telling him the good news. After embracing everything, he said, "Thank you, son. You can now return." Because he didn't want me to miss class.
Oh.
Then we started communication with my brother. And I...
Through letter writing.
Yes.
Now that you got his address, yeah.
And I regret this. Tembi is such a record keeper. And after I was appointed to the court, the Residual Special Court of Sierra Leone in 2013, and Martin Dingake hosted a party to celebrate that achievement, Mike came with a letter. Such a record keeper. The letter that I wrote him when I was doing Form 1.
He still had it.
He still had it. He gave it to me then, and I have lost it. In that letter...
This is from the 70s.
Yes, in that letter, I said to him that I want to be two things. I want to be judge, and I want to be president. So advise me on the qualifications I need to acquire for one of them. And I also said to him, please also indicate the salary attached to both posts.
Yes.
At that time, I believed erroneously that as president, you must be the most educated and that you must be the one who is earning the highest salary. I thought judges come second in terms of the requirements for education and the salary. And Mike wrote back to say, and I remember, and I told this story in Bobono recently, last weekend. Mike said, as for the presidency, you already qualify. Because if I remember, the Constitution of Botswana only requires that you must be able to read and write English. No, he said, you require in terms of that, the only disqualification for you is age. But when you reach 30 years,
you qualify.
So in terms of education, you are saying, in terms of education, you already qualify. Says for the judge, it's a long way. You will need to pass your JC, pass your matric Form 5, do LLB, practice law for a number of years, then you can be a judge. And I managed with one.
And big well done. Big well done. Big well done. Yes. No, let's get into some of the issues. I mean, I've listened to some of your presentations, including the one that you did to Mombasa. Where there was a
I don't remember that. I've done
you
so
don't
many
remember?
Mombasas.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. Oh, is it? Mombasa?
Many.
Yes, it was a conference of jurists from Africa.
It must be the international... Yes.
And it's quite interesting that, I don't know if it's peculiarity, it's how you've managed to combine, which still baffles me, combined almost activism with being a judge. I mean, for me, it's like mixing two things that should not be. We see a judge, the sober judge, cool, calm and collected. And we'll talk about the Musi Ramandele case later on. But you've talking about your UB days and your grounding in terms of intellectual grounding. You seem to have succeeded in infusing it into sort of country and continental discourse on socio-political leadership, democracy, and all that. And that's why the question really I wanted to ask you is something that obviously as a citizen, increasingly not just a citizen of Botswana, as a citizen of Africa, really bothers us, is the seemingly deteriorating levels of democracy. You've called it democratic recession in your other writings, and that you will have a constitution, but there won't be a pure practice of constitutionalism. So I just wanted to talk to that. What do you mean by that? And why is there? And it goes back to your Fanon story. Why has Africa tended to deteriorate? I mean, looking at research, it says that we almost went back to the baselines of the 2000s. Even more Ibrahim, a couple of years, they're struggling to give to give awards in terms of leadership and governance. So I don't, what's going on? Yes. And it's interesting. I might ask that later on because you have people like you. Africa is a must with all these intellectuals, but we'll talk about that later.
Yes. I teach constitutional theory to doctoral students and master students at St. Beda University in Philippines. And what I teach is that there is a difference between a constitution and constitutionalism. That difference is that a constitution is a document. You can hold it with your hand. It is a piece of paper laden with promises. And I call it a promissory note. And I say the tragedy of African democracy is that they have embraced liberal democracy that require constitutions that should govern a state. But the tragedy is that those constitutions are not accompanied by constitutionalism. And what do I mean by constitutionalism? So I have already said that a constitution is a piece of paper. It's a document. It's a promissory note. But constitutionalism speaks now to the meat of it. It speaks to limited government, accountable government, good governance, transparency, institutions that are independent and functional, a government that obeys law and is subject to the law. So when you have that, then you have constitutionalism. So not many countries with constitutions subscribe to constitutionalism. What has happened is that if you take our country, for instance, not many people know the genesis of our constitutional architecture. The genesis of our constitutional architecture is the European Convention of Human Rights of 1952. That European Convention
basically is adopted from elsewhere.
What you called cut and paste. So there was cut and paste from that convention, even though there was also some inspiration from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948. But on the main, it was the European Convention of Human Rights of 1952, 1953 that informed our constitution. So we had this constitution, not a people's constitution, imposed by the outgoing colonial masters, and we ran with it. And I often say in my public speeches around here that one of the seminal provisions of that constitution, never litigated upon, a missed opportunity by lawyers, and therefore a missed opportunity by us judges to unpack it, is one liner there that says Botswana is a republic. That one liner has never been litigated upon, and judges have not pronounced what it means and its implications. So we have, relative to others in Africa, been labeled a shining example of democracy because we obeyed court orders generally. Our journalists were free to express themselves. So relative to
rule of law
other
is by and
countries,
large, yeah.
we're doing well.
Mm.
But that story belongs to the early days. With time, things deteriorated because the ruling elite then discovered that the Constitution is a document of convenience. They also discovered that the people do not know and understand the Constitution. So,
and we're going back to phenom now, isn't it?
Exactly.
Our man.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I was going to go there. So they don't understand our Constitution. So the ruling elites now turned the state into an instrument of oppression instead of an instrument of liberation. And they became unaccountable. So constitutionalism was compromised. Limited government was compromised. So with the coming of the Second Republic under DGB, we are hoping for a reversal.
October 2024.
Yes. We are hoping for a reversal of all that could be correctly characterized as democratic recession. And as you know, when we speak about democratic recession, we are talking about faltering health of democracy in a nation. And the health of a democratic nation is measured by many indicators. It is whether the institutions of governance are in place and doing their work.
They have teeth.
They have teeth. Are they independent? If there is any institution in Botswana that could belong to independence, but that was in danger before the Second Republic, of that independence being fundamentally eroded, is the judiciary. But the judiciary has always been the last bastion. Even as there was degeneration all over, people kept the hope in it.
From a Botswana perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
But before the October 2nd Republic, on the eve of we know there were many concerns. There were many concerns. We are hoping that the Second Republic agenda and project will address the fundamental flaws in the democratic health of the Republic. So they must come up with new institutions that can strengthen democracy, independent media institutions, human rights institutions. The Director of Economic Crime must move out of the office of the president
yes.
and be an independent institution. The courts, still structurally, they must be empowered to have financial autonomy. They should not be at the mercy of government because the judiciary is a co-equal arm of the government.
Yeah, when you look at the three
you
arms.
must read. I thought I had learned a lot about constitutions, constitutionalism, and independence of the judiciary. Wait until I went to Papua New Guinea.
Where you've been for how many years now?
7 years.
7 years?
Yes.
Time flies.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I had been preaching in classrooms and in Africa that the judiciary can also be strengthened by having absolute control of its finances, not treated as a department in the Ministry of Justice, which is what is happening currently now in Botswana.
Or the executive, she's still reliant on the executive.
The new not the new constitution, the founding constitution of PNG has a provision that secures the financial autonomy
of the judiciary.
So, and then the other, when you talk about recession.
But I'm dying to ask you this one.
Yes.
Because of your hope.
Yes.
I hope your hope can be contagious.
Yes.
Yeah, the Second Republic.
Yes.
And the proclamations because I have seen, I always tell people, I worry about the day that I decide to join politics and become a president.
Yes.
Because of the
I think you'll be a good president because you're a learned man.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you know why?
And you're still grounded amongst the people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
DGB is very learned.
Yes.
Shadow President, very learned.
Yes.
And I have seen people that you trust.
Yes.
That learned.
Yeah.
And the disease just walks in.
Yes.
How confident are you that the disease is, again, going back to the Fanon factor.
Yes.
That seems to, people go into positions.
Yes.
And then for some reason, they get slowly corrupted by virtue of position.
Yes. Let us...
are you with me?
I'm with you.
Yes.
Let us not characterize it as confident.
Mm-hmm.
We should characterize as hopeful.
Mm.
I am hopeful because of the background and the agitations of the new governors.
Mm.
They come from a social democracy background.
Mm-hmm.
Few people actually know that Boko led. Few people actually know that he led in his early days at university a communist youth league.
Oh.
And Dumelang was a member
of that communist youth league.
No, of the socialist youth league.
Yeah. Okay.
Few people know these things. They come from a particular left orientation, both of them. And that gives me hope that they can bring a difference. But let me tell you what I teach constitutional law students and the public. I say my duty as a constitutionalist, my first duty as a constitutionalist, and the first duty I demand of all constitutional lawyers is that they should be suspicious of those who wield power.
Yeah.
And they must demand of those who wield power that they must demonstrate by action and concrete deliverables that which they pontificate is actually capable of concrete results. I say to many, Moteo Mosha that organized many seminars that I've addressed whenever I was on vacation here, they will know that that is my passionate line. I say even Key, myself, who has written books, lectured, the day he assumes power, you must be
suspicious.
And you should only ululate and celebrate when you see the results on the ground. We'll never say we are truly independent in this country. Never until the ordinary person life has improved. And that ordinary person says, I can see a difference in the manner in which the way I live than the way my parents lived or the way I lived 10 years ago.
There's progress.
So the measure of progress in democracy is not the lofty statements our leaders give. The measure of democracy is economic justice. The ability of each and every one of us to afford decent accommodation, 3 meals in a day, and be able to be attended to when he or she is sick. So those are the measures, not... Even my mother used to say, ngwana ga ke mo promisa magodimo gore ke tata. Ke mo direla tarnya kana mme molomo o tolano ka ditetse. So the measure, Kenneth Shololo Koma, that formidable left intellectual of our times, I still have to know of any other more formidable force like that. His critique actually was exactly this. It was exactly this. We will measure progress of a nation by the manner in which ordinary people live. Have we uplifted their standard of living? Have we bridged the gap between the poor and the rich? Are our people having access to education, to health, and other opportunities? Have we dismantled the patron-client relationship that characterizes politics, in terms of which what qualifies one for a position or for a tender is political loyalty? If that remains the defining characteristic of our nation, then we need new liberators to come on board. The new promise of the Second Republic, my hope, is that it must be a fundamental reorientation of the state towards the ordinary masses of our people being the main beneficiaries. We are okay. I have a house.
You and I.
Yes, we're okay on the main.
Yeah, but we are not the major.
So until we hear our people say we are okay, we are not okay.
And let's put it in practical terms, because we know that despite the beautiful GDP performance of the country, inequality is one of the most glaring. And I always say, sometimes academics and policymakers, put things in books, but I'm a farmer. I go to Senfeld, I go to deep in Kalahari. I see a young man who ran away from school, is not studying, and is almost helpless. Some of them, they come out of school, they fail from 3, and he's 15 years old. And you can see, I've driven with them, tried to motivate, you can see there's that level of helplessness. And with inequality and all that. So I suppose what you are saying then is that we have not arrived as a country, and the inequality rate says there's a glaring gap. And hence, because that's a question I was asking you, is Botswana truly independent as we walk into the 59th birthday for Botswana? Are we truly independent?
We have a lot to do. And that a lot to do has to do with changing the fortunes of our people. As I say, we'll never be truly independent until our people are free from hunger, deprivation, until our people are free from dying needlessly out of lack of medicine, lack of drugs, until we achieve a situation where we say that belongs to the past. We cannot say we have reached the zenith of our aspirations. So the welfare, and that brings me again to the philosophy of law that I subscribe to. Law as an instrument of governance, its ultimate objective is the welfare of the people. So government exists not to benefit those who are in government, but to benefit the ordinary people. Until our people feel that they are proud citizens because they have somewhere where they live, they work, they can be attended to when they are sick, we can't say we have fulfilled that aspiration and dream of an independent nation.
Does it matter that we seem to be, I don't know whether playing games is the right word, this on and off revision of the Botswana Constitution? As you said, I have a same concern that it was adopted from others. It was never been, we've never lived it as our document contextualized. And now coming to almost 60th birthday, and the country still doesn't have, I don't know, maybe it goes back to your hope that hopefully the process will now be invoked and properly done.
Yes.
But what's this game around the Botswana Constitution that we're playing?
I don't know whether I should call it a game. I've written a lot about the Constitution. As you know, I've spoken a lot about the Constitution. I've been frustrated and pained by the manner in which the constitutional review process was done.
Yes, I remember your critique.
I have written a lot on it. when it finally collapsed, I celebrated in my loneliness. I wrote a piece that said, "A dream deferred."
Yeah.
Theoretically, what a blessing that there are new men and women now in the seat of power who I am hoping that they will do things differently. What we need, and this is key, what we need is to trust our people. What we need is to understand that a constitution is not owned by politicians and it's not an instrument of convenience. It belongs to the people. The sovereign power, the constituent power belongs to the people. So as I've emphasized this, no government should fear the people. And the people should trust that government will only be facilitators to ensure that their dream, their aspirations are captured. No government should ever use a constitution as a political tool or as a partisan instrument. So if we believe in all those things, then we need a truly people-centered, people-driven constitution. In my scheme of things, in my understanding, it can't be a hurried affair. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It was mishandled by the previous government. It was elitist. Can you believe it was a commission of inquiry established under a Commission of Inquiries Act, in terms of which only the president determined who are going to be the commissioners, the time frame it is going to take,
And the terms.
and the terms. Where were the people? Where were the representatives of the people? Where were they? So it was stillborn from the word go. It could never have ever been a legitimate document when you start it like that. It should be freed from partisanship. In terms of the Commission of Inquiries Act, those commissioners and the report they wrote, they had to give to the president. And the president had the discretion what to take and what not to take, whether to release it to the public or not to release it. That is not the way to go. We have seen countries that have revised their constitutions or have made new constitutions that are admired.
I'm struggling to say, where were you? And your same, for lack of a better word.
You mean when this
That's
new constitution was done?
I'm one who, based on your grounding and your qualifications, would expect people like you to stick out and advise on the approach. And as you rightly said, not a rushed affair.
History will absolve me. History, to quote Fidel Castro, will absolve me. Long before that illegitimate process was unleashed on our people, I had written a piece called Towards a Transformative People-Driven Constitution. That book is still sold at Exclusive Books. Many of the MPs have it. It was released far early before this thing was done. But you must understand that the reason why politics is consequential is that they have the power to take decisions. They can exclude, if they choose, on a road project or a bridge project to exclude the most celebrated engineers, and they can choose the engineers that hold party membership. One day I said to my nephew, he would laugh listening to this, who supported the deposed status quo, that at the rate you're going, one day you'll insist in projects to build bridges across our nation, that one of the required qualifications is party membership. So if you ask, where was I? Many people will tell you Key wrote. Key spoke loudly, not in whispers, that there is a way to do it. Look, it's not that they didn't even know. It's because they had decided to use the Constitution as a partisan instrument to achieve certain objectives. A political decision was taken. You can't say they are unaware what Namibia went through. You can't say they were unaware what South Africa went through. But tell me, where are the traces of learning from South Africa?
Robust process.
The robust process that unfolded in South Africa. Where did you find it?
Robust.
Here. Where did you find it? I had articulated this view that we became, because we are doing ours much later than South Africa, we'll embrace the best parts of the South African process.
Which is one of the most celebrated,
Yes,
isn't it,
and
in
even,
the world?
And even
Advance it.
beat them.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things that I hope we would not miss here, I want a genuine, people-centered, people-driven constitutional review process with the politicians facilitating, but trusting the people, the owners of the Constitution. And I want, as part of the broader framework, that there must be civic education. The people must be taught what we are talking about. Why a constitution? Why is a constitution important?
What
The
it means
basic
to
outlines.
what it means to them.
What it means to them. And that it is theirs. They can frame it the way they want. They'll be assisted by experts, local and international. The legacy that DGB potentially he has, is to bequeath unto us a people's constitution. To do that, he has to depoliticize the process and trust the people. Infuse the experts. The process must be homegrown, led by local intellectuals, assisted by the international expertise, but only to source the aspirations of the people. Those who should determine the content of the Constitution must be the people. And the legitimacy of that process will arise immediately at the beginning.
Yeah.
At the beginning. If it is lost at the beginning, it may become an illegitimate process.
Again. And I'm asking you.
That
Yeah, carry on.
is my hope. And I underline hope. That those in charge of the nation's affairs must facilitate the process for the people to determine the way forward.
And I'm being unfair on you saying, where were you? But I think you appreciate that I'm generalizing.
Yes.
Because this country is blessed with a lot of skills.
Yes.
And I mean, I just did a conference, a corporate governance conference where I spoke last week about some of the things that we've suggested in the past. And the system just tends to close off. And you wouldn't believe the number of people that just came running to me after my speech and say, how the hell do experts like us access the system?
Yeah.
Because in Botswana, you are confident, you've studied it, but we're just not part. We're just that elite.
Yes. Yes.
And that leads me to a very fundamental question that I've been dying to ask you, and it really troubles me around, when I read, as I told you, I'm engineer who tries to read philosophy now.
Yes.
So when I go back and I go through works of Plato and Aristotle, and I go through the works of Thomas Hobbes, Locke, and all those guys, and how their works fed onto the glorious revolution of 1688 for Britain, and it was difficult times. I mean, when Locke published his treatises, some of them he didn't publish because, he was worried about his life. And I go on to the 18th century now. They feed us onto the American Revolution and the French Revolution. People like Voltaire and Rousseau and all that, how they intellectualized and provided the framework for a transformation of a country. Similarly, the Founding Fathers, a huge project that Benjamin Franklin and all went through. And when they were devising, the Founding Fathers and the papers, they were feeding from Cicero and from all the guys from the past. Now, in analyzing Botswana and Africa and accepting that we came to the game quite late, if I may, but now that we are somewhere, where is the intellectual depth and contextualizing of our democratic evolvement from our own intellectuals? Obviously, as you said, you can feed from others, but legitimacy has to be premised on the local intellectual. I'll use a bad example of South Africa and the apartheid government, which you probably know better. But it was crafted, the Bourbon, and they even looked after their economic self. But it was a coalition, not just of the politicians. It was the politicians, the civil service, the church was heavily involved, the Dutch Reformed Church, but the intellectuals played a part. Obviously, it was later, I don't know if it's a good example, but obviously it was a failed experiment. But I'm just saying, for other countries, that seems to build some level of legitimacy and sustainability where we don't have these stop-starts of democratic involvement because, as you said, people don't know the Constitution. People don't know their rights. Hence, we will keep, and then we become vulnerable to leaders who just have their own interests.
The role of intellectuals in democratization,
correct,
is essentially what you are speaking about. When we started our talk, I said that I know of no intellectual figure who actually the broad, what you may call in Botswana, the time-tested oppositional forces. By the way, I use time-tested deliberately. We can take time to unpack that. Let me use that. When you take into account the time-tested opposition bloc, those that you can say they have stayed the course in promoting, sacrificing for an alternative vision of this republic. I spoke of Kenneth Shololo as one individual who stands out. Then there could have been others who may not have been as intense as Kenneth. But we know of many that have been critical about the way society is run. You must have occasionally read a few. I can mention a few that have, in their spaces, have a sort of critique, not only the political economy of Botswana, which was Kenneth's main preserve, but they've critiqued the legal order and other things. There are a few. It is perhaps the intensity of the intellectuals of the caliber of Kenneth that we lack. I do not wish to blow the horn of my former partner, but in fairness, Utsolezi Mupo has written admirably, being a student of Kenneth, critiqued society. There were fellows like Tafa, who also students of Kenneth,
the late
who have written,
the late
Tafa. There have been others. There used to be a fellow called Log Raditokwa.
Yeah, Log. I remember Log very well.
There have been intellectuals, but it is the intensity and their mass impact that has not been there. Maybe because 60 years in a life of a nation is not a long time. But we need more intellectuals who can critique where we are and guide us forward. We need many, especially intellectuals who can discard their comfort and enter the battlefield. We need people like you to enter the battlefield and bring the promised vision into being. Exactly who are the intellectuals may be a problematic question. For now, if you characterize intellectuals or those who are involved in the business of producing knowledge, of critiquing society, you qualify as an intellectual. Because the knowledge that you produce through this program is consumed by people. It inspires others. Others, it's also good in the sense that they may critique what we are doing. They may even critique our discourse. But that is intellectualism.
That is how it works, yes.
That is how it works.
Yeah.
That is intellectualism. So we are involved in an intellectual process. So we need many more people to do that for the sake of our society. A society without the intelligentsia playing a role will always experience stunted growth. When you speak about John Locke, the foundational thinker of liberal democracy, John Locke, by the way, spoke about this seminal idea of a social contract, basically saying that there is a contract that comes into being between the governed and the governors. And this contract is binding, But that is theoretical abstraction. That is the job of intellectuals. Who then ensures that the terms of the social contract are kept? That is civil society. That is vigilant. That is active. That is informed. Minus a vigilant, informed civil society, even the promissory note called a constitution, even the theorization by people like the theorists will come to naught because the rulers may choose to ignore the constitutional framework, to ignore all other things, to jettison the values that unite us as a nation, and all the others. Who should then say to them that what you are doing is not us? It's civil society. Where is civil society? Where is it?
Good question.
Where is civil society? And civil society, by the way, we can have the luxury, like the luxury I'm having now, of posing these rhetorical questions about where it is, but it's another to go down there and organize civil society. We have trade union formations in this country and other professional groups. We have Bokongo. We have the Law Society of Botswana. We have the trade union formations.
We have
the Channel. They are trying. In fact, when you talk about the last failed constitutional experiment to review the constitution, the Channel, Bokongo, trade unions were at the forefront. Even more at the forefront than political parties in my analysis. But we need to strengthen these bodies because these bodies history only knows civil society as ultimately the formation that can hold government accountable. So there need to be some synergy between the intellectuals, civil society, and the politicians. It needs to be a collaborative effort. But we should know that the first duty of a constitutionalist is to be suspicious of those who hold power. That they can always betray. And when they betray, civil society must be there to continue the struggle for a better society. The struggle for a better society never stops because progress is relative speaking. When a time comes, as I hope it shall, and I'm sure you understand, I keep on saying hope, as I hope it shall, that one day we'll have a Bill of Rights that entrenches socio-economic rights. Why do we need that? We need that promise in our Constitution to remind the governors that the people is what they want and that your duty is to deliver them jobs, the right to work, deliver them the right to water, deliver them the right to health, and deliver them all these things. The day that I'll find a Bill of Rights having socio-economic rights, I will say we have made progress, even on the theoretical plane. But the day I see these promises being delivered actually on the ground, I'll say we're making progress. I would want to reach a situation where I met a friend yesterday, a judge, a jurist. I said, Africa has a pandemic of judges. We need judges who are judges. Meaning, once you assume the mantle of judgeship, it's a heavy responsibility. It means that the promise in that document, fundamental document, you must effect.
Custodian.
So we can take another day or so, speak about the judiciary alone.
Yes, no, that will do. Will do. Yes. Now, this is lighter but heavy.
Yes.
Because it's again dear to my heart, and I find it quite bizarre.
Light and heavy is a contradiction.
It's a contradiction.
It's a contradiction in terms.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. My lecturer.
Yeah. I thought I must remind you.
So I mean, because I've tested this with a very prominent lawyer many years ago, and you could see it's like, when the stuff you talk about is irrelevant, almost brushing me aside. But the cultural notations. I now read a little bit of psychology of what impedes progress in a society. And for me, the attachment to the colonial symbols, the Lady of Justice, the Wigs. I mean, it's almost laughable in my little league for us to be doing things which are cut and paste from the colonial era, without actually going back to the intellectualization of what it impacts on our people, going back to Kenneth, Koma, the process of decolonizing the mind so that we can link the two. So you have been there. I think you've put on the wig. Another one, I'm in South Africa. I use South Africa because, my mother is from there, so I always use it as an example, where they've got that beautiful Union building, which is a Mediterranean design, which is a symbol of the union of the Boers and the English in 1910. So if you unpack the symbol of the building, it goes back to the white minority. And I always tease my friends in South Africa to say, how does this work? Because it starts with the mind, then there will be progress. And part of these type of symbolisms, they hinder in my little book. So I just wanted your take, because I have read that you've also had issues with those. And why is it a struggle to change those?
I'll tell you, I was battling as you formulated a question whether, in responding to you, I should be philosophical or I should be practical. Law as a discipline is rooted in tradition. And that tradition is the Westminster tradition. So the symbolism of the wig is foreign. It's ideally not to be embraced. We should look for symbols that define who we are, at what stage we are, and where we're going. Contextualized in the Botswana context, instead of the Lady Justice adorning the building of the High Court,
right in the middle of the central business district.
Yes, we could have.
Sticking out.
We could have, arguably, with respect, have the symbol of the court.
Yes, court system.
So we agreed on that. It inculcates into young people a mentality that continues the trauma of colonizing the mind when we need to decolonize the mind. And that it takes me back again to Amilcar Cabral, the revolutionary Guinea-Bissau, where he's one of those philosophers who spoke about re-Africanization. One of the beauties of Amilcar Cabral was the synthesization of Marxism, scientific socialism theories with the nature and character of the African society and the culture of the African society.
You synthesized those nicely together.
Yes, very nicely. So, perfectly agreed. The wig does not belong. The wig should be discarded. In one of the books I wrote, I don't know whether it's judges or lawyers, I wrote a whole chapter on wigs.
Is it?
Yes, I wrote a whole chapter on wigs. During my time as a judge, when DGB was the president of the Law Society, he used to pull me aside and denounce the wig very strongly.
I should think so, yeah.
And denounce me in particular of putting on the wig as if it was possible to break ranks as others put the wig, for me not to put the wig. Now let me tell you a practical story. One of my recent mentors, maybe the person I admire, if you ask Justice Isaac Lanaola of the Supreme Court of Kenya, my dear friend, you ask Judge, close your eyes and tell us who Key is, or what comes to your mind when anyone talks about Justice Key Dingake. He would say he has his own twin this side in Kenya by the name of William Mutunga.
William Mutunga.
The retired Chief Justice of Kenya. When Willie came as the Chief Justice of Kenya, holding the views the two of us hold, anti-wigs, he did away with wigs.
In Kenya?
In Kenya.
Years ago?
After he left, my good friend, Chief Justice Emeritus Maraga, in Kenya, eminent, a fearless defender of judicial independence, brought back the wigs.
I was worried you were going to say that.
A Harvard scholar of international repute, former Chief Justice Njia of the Supreme Court of PNG, a Harvard scholar, a prolific writer. The last book actually I wrote was Njia's book on philosophies of law. It's actually what I read these days many times. I read Njia's philosophy of law. He also speaks about Wigs, and he defends Wigs. What do those who defend Wigs say? They say it's part of our tradition as lawyers, and that tradition communicates authority, and is nothing other than tradition. And the people like Wigs.
The people is us.
Yes.
We like Wigs.
Yes. They think that the people, when they see a wigged judge, they see authority. They see a figure unlike others.
Ambience of justice.
Yes. So that is that.
That is that. But you favor the discarding of wigs. That's the bottom line.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have articulated that. I've said, I don't know those who would oppose, like the example I gave, that the hotel for us.
Yeah, that's I was the same thing. It would be an ideal.
Would be the most ideal.
Yeah. Actually,
the philosophy of the hotel.
Yeah.
The philosophy of the hotel. Even the teaching of our own young people will be reorienting their thinking away from the symbols of oppression.
Yes.
But let me tell you another light joke, because the wig is, it comes now and then in legal forums. In last year, around this time, I was invited to speak at the conference of the Supreme Court of Kenya, celebrating the 12 years, reflecting on their jurisprudence. And Willie Mutunga was there, Maraga was there, and many other chief justices. And the issue of wigs came up. And one of the Kenyan judges said there is a lot of misconception about wigs, that this originate in the part of, you remember I said earlier, Westminster history.
Yeah.
And he said that is half the truth. He said the wigs originated from Africa.
Really?
He actually showed me some article that propounds that view. He said the wigs originated in Egypt. And he said it's...
Now I'm trying to relate to this thing that the Egyptians, I guess.
Yeah, he said it came from Egypt. And that we need to go back to research and say the story properly.
Repackage it.
But the predominant view is that it has been appropriated in the Westminster tradition.
Yeah. And South Africa has done away with it, is it? I'm trying to recall looking into the course.
Yes.
They don't use.
And you remember in Botswana, there's also varying usage. We don't get into court with wigs.
Yeah.
We wear them during ceremonial activities. In PNG, the judges get in with wigs.
Is it?
Yes.
Wow. And it's relatively warm there as well, tropical, isn't it?
Yes, it is tropical, yes. That's
interesting. So, my brother, we are coming towards the end.
Yes.
And I know that you are a bit limited as well.
Yes.
So the last question, we've revisited the issue of democratic recession.
Yes.
And, where our African, and again, I was wanted to tease your grounding around academics and research, Or where do we come from? Is it better if we try to feed it with our own thing? I was even reflecting when we were talking about the Kotla and the progress of the founding fathers, Koma, how we seem to be making it good in the first 20, 25 years. And my own, which still needs to be supported, is that with that foreign constitution, that actually the primary momentum we might say actually came from our Kotla principles and the Ubuntu principles that drove that cadre of political leadership that was not very educated. But that's a matter for another day.
Yes,
that's a matter for another day.
Yes.
Yeah. But I wanted to now to just sum up and say, if you were to meet your students in terms of what we discussed in terms of Botswana regressing on many issues, you talk about the Constitution. When you were saying, I was even reflecting one of the first things that I expected them to effect is just to get the broadcasting center and actually get a public broadcaster, because as you rightly said, that's a source of information. And there's a lot of suspicion over BTV and Botswana. And for me, that needs to be corrected as soon as possible. But for you, what would be those two things that you say, these needs to be done within, if we're starting today, the next 100 days? If we get those things right, we will be on the right path in terms of the hope.
I don't like the 100-day configurations or 100-day timeframes. If I were to meet the President of the Republic, who I hope to meet soon, I'll have a frank discussion arising out of, now for the first time I use confidence, arising out of the confidence that I know his background, I know his theoretical grounding, I know his posture. I would say to him that one potential legacy you could leave for the Republic to remember it forever is a constitution of the people, driven by the people, whose aspirations come from the people. And I would say to him, if you do it properly, not hurriedly, and do it, I mean, you facilitate it. To ensure that you don't govern the Constitution governs you. I'll say prioritize it. Deliver to Botswana, above all else, a constitution of the people, a classic of modern times. That
beautiful
can be a safeguard for the people, not only for this generation, but for generations yet to come. And then at two, I will say, invest heavily in the ecosystem of knowledge. Heavily. I will say, fund education hubs. Fund these universities we have. Make them first-class universities, producers of knowledge. The last, I would say, invest in universal health. Health for everyone. That is all. Democracy is work in progress. It's a journey. If these bricks are laid, one day others will come to lay other bricks. And will end up being a republic that is admirable, admired the world over.
Including by its own people.
Yes. So that is what I would say to the president the day we meet. And I hope it will be soon. Yes.
Wonderful. Justice Professor Oagile Key Dingake, it's been such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Really. Thank you,
Thank you
so
so
much
much.
for making the time
Thank you so
and
much.
sharing these insights.
Thank you
with
so
us,
much.
And I'm sure it's been very beneficial.
Thank you so much.
So there we go, colleagues. I hope it was beneficial to you as well. I enjoyed it. And please, as usual, do the rightful. Just keep subscribing. And then this is phase 1. I've hopefully convinced him that today was just at philosophical level. And then Prof, we've agreed that we'll have.
Yes, it's a deal.
It's a deal.
Yes, a
Cool.
deal. It's a deal.
Cheers, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.